What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update that you guys can probably already tell it is going down. Just by that title alone, you're definitely gonna want to check this one out, guys. Another day, another Democratic insider getting caught treating campaign coffers like their personal ATM. So we now have top Democratic treasurer Catherine Buchanan pleading guilty to an $840,000 embezzlement scheme. Guys, I'm excited to get to this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
And we're learning now that she did what Joe did and tried to pass that work off onto someone else using USAID. They wrote up a contract worth up to $800 million for consultants to find the root causes for them. But here's the problem. Walter Barnes III, the man who founded one of these companies that got the cash, was a known con man. He just pled guilty to a decade-long USAID bribery scheme. And the government knew he was shady for years, even before they gave him all the money. Now, in 2023, the USAID Inspector General said Barnes lacked honesty and integrity. But on the same day, he was awarded an $800 million contract. They had good reason to be suspicious. Over the years, Barnes secured big money deals by bribing a USAID employee with pricey basketball suites, a trip to the vineyard, and even a down payment on a house. Isn't that nice? And once he got paid, Barnes burned through pallets of cash, doing everything but what we paid him to do. We reached out to Walter, never got back to us.
Alright, you guys, that was just a little fraud flashback. Actually covered that story on the USAID bribery scheme scandal that went down underneath the nose of then Vice President Kamala Harris. I just wanted to show you guys there's a trend with these loonies on the left and their fraudulent schemes. And just the other day, we got a breaking news update on a prominent Democratic campaign treasurer pleading guilty to embezzlement. We're seeing Catherine Buchanan, a former treasurer for numerous Democrat campaigns, including Senator Tim Kaine and Mark Warner of Virginia, pleading guilty to an embezzling of over $840,000 in campaign funding, nearly $1 million. And apparently she also lied to the IRS in order to save $670,000 in taxes. It says Buchanan is scheduled to be sentenced in October and face up to 5 years in person per charge. So I think she went down on 3 counts. And of course, we got folks on X absolutely outraged, tweeting out, this is Fatima Khan, tweeting out saying this case involving Catherine Buchanan is a serious breach of public trust and a stark reminder of the need for greater transparency and accountability in political fundraising. Embezzling over $840,000 from campaign funds, money meant to support the Democratic participation and representation, betrays not only the candidates she worked for, but the voters who donated this money in good faith. And on top of that, she also lied to the IRS in order to avoid paying $670,000 in taxes. This adds a whole nother layer of deceit and criminality. Regardless of the political affiliation, this kind of corruption undermines public confidence in the political systems and gives fuel to cynicism about how campaigns are run. It's essential that this behavior be met with appropriate legal consequence, not just for justice in this case, but to send a clear message that political operatives are not above the law. Well said, Fatima. Well said. We definitely need to draw the line on this one. We can't keep allowing them to get away with this. I mean, I showed you guys the fraud flashback in the beginning, just to show there's a trend alongside these loonies on the left, their fraudulent behaviors, and then somehow getting away with it. When do we draw the line and make them pay for their crime and their fraudulent actions? We got TK for Trump, Tanya here tweeting out saying another Democrat bites the dust. Prison time for Catherine Buchanan, doesn't pay to steal. And then we're seeing that press release again. I mean, hey, you gotta pay. If you could do the crime, you definitely could do the time. We got a true patriot here on X saying, throw the book at her. If we don't, nothing will ever change, which is definitely the truth. We can't allow these folks to keep getting away with this. Then we got an article here, this one coming from the United States Attorney's Office, Eastern District of Virginia, where this crime or the illicit crimes are said to have been committed. With an article here, I wanted to just dive a little deeper. You guys know me, I'm deeply seated in research. We have to make sure we get to the bottom of every story so that I'm informed on what actually went down. This one's titled Campaign Treasurer Pleads Guilty to Embezzling Over $840K. Check her out. It says an Alexandria woman pled guilty to embezzling campaign contributions from 3 federal candidates for political office and committing tax evasion. According to court documents, Catherine Margaret Buchanan, 59, worked as a political campaign compliance consultant for more than 20 years for various political campaigns and political action committees, PACs. Typically, she held the title of treasurer of the campaign or PAC. Beginning in 2020 and continuing through to 2024, Buchanan used the access she held as treasurer to embezzle contributed funds from clients and converted that money into for her own personal use. Buchanan used campaign or PAC funds to make payments to her personal credit cards, used official campaign or PAC credit cards to make personal purchases, used campaign or PAC funds to pay for third party for her own personal enrichment, and transferred funds from campaign or PAC bank accounts into her own personal bank accounts. Very criminal actions and behavior we're seeing coming from Buchanan. It says Buchanan also used the embezzled funds for such personal expenses as dining, landscaping, aesthetic services, Peloton exercise bike. At least she was trying to get in shape, doing something positive. Clothing, airline tickets to Italy, concert tickets and suites, charter yacht tours, legal fees. She's definitely going to need it with the trouble that she's got herself into. She's got a lot of legal fees. It says altogether, Buchanan misappropriated at least $840,000 and contributed funds from various campaign committees and PACs for whom she served as treasurer. It says Buchanan also underreported the income that she received from 2017 through the year 2022 to the Internal Revenue Service to avoid paying taxes on it. This resulted in a total loss of unpaid federal taxes of roughly $670,000. Buchanan is scheduled to be sentenced on October 8th and faces up to 5 years in prison for each charge. It says the actual sentences for federal crimes are typically less than the maximum penalties. A federal district court judge will determine any sentence after considering the U.S. sentencing guidelines and other statutory factors. Wow. Okay, yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, yeah, another one of those loonies on the left, top Democratic official getting caught using campaign coffers like personal ATMs, bank machines, and we can't allow this to keep going on. I mean, we have to draw the line somewhere. If we don't, they're going to continue to abuse and misuse their office that they're holding in order to, enrich themselves in a personal manner. We cannot allow this. I mean, these folks have gotten away with this for how long now? I mean, when is enough enough? When I think enough has been enough, but now it's actually time. We've got the right leadership in office. We got President Donald Trump. Trump's administration is not messing around when it comes to the corruption, the fraudulent schemes of these folks on the left. It's time we go ahead and drop the hammer. A severe punishment is definitely warranted in this situation so that, going forward, folks will look back and say, okay, I've seen what happened to old Catherine Buchanan, that former top Democratic treasurer who, abused her office, abused her seat in order to embezzle this money. And I probably shouldn't do the same. We've seen her getting slapped with a very hefty fine or hefty sentence. And that kind of sets the tone, the precedent for these folks that follow that may be enticed to misuse their office. They're saying, oh, okay, I seen what happened to her. Maybe I'm going to take a different road, a different route. I'm going to do things the right way because I don't want to suffer the same punishment. Guys, but definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy more content like this, catch you guys on the next week. Let's have happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. You guys can probably already tell that it is going down. Just by that title alone, you guys are definitely going to want to check this one out. So we're witnessing that airhead of Congress, AOC, facing a major backfire after her calls for the impeachment of President Donald Trump over Iran. Guys, I'm excited to get to this one, so we're not straight into it. All I ask that you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's hop straight into it, folks. Check this one out.
I go back in on Monday. You could have hollered at us on Monday. If you truly felt like there was something, like, there is nothing that they will say that will make me believe that this action needed to take place, and it needed to take place without the consultation of the Congress. All right. Give me one more.
How can the Senate be involved to make them accountable for what they're doing?
I mean, listen, y'all are talking about accountability. The systems have broken down. The systems have broken down because people have legitimately decided that they would rather serve him than serve the people that put him into office. Like, I don't really have any, like, good answers for you, except for the fact that legitimately everything that he does is like against the law. Like, he just breaks the law. And I know that there are some people that think that I just say this stuff because I'm a Democrat, and I can tell you, I have my own issues with my own party. I'm not saying these things because I'm a Democrat. I'm saying these things because I am a black woman in America who just happens to be educated enough to know what the law is. And I can tell you that while some people want to disparage my credibility and act as if I don't know what I'm talking about, I can absolutely guarantee to you that if you Google war and authority and constitution, you're going to see Congress. And this thing that's like on my chest tells you that I am a member of Congress. I don't really know, like, and the biggest problem that we face right now is that we have an administration that does not care about making sure that they abide by rules or abide by the law.
Oh my goodness, you guys, that right there, I had to start off right there. That was that Representative Ratchet, aka Jasmine Crockett. She's upset that President Donald Trump didn't holler at your girl before the strikes on Iran. Doesn't make much sense. Her reasoning behind why she's entitled to Donald Trump hitting her up first. Saying that she's a black woman and she knows her law. She's going to drag race into every single talking point situation that she, comes in front of. It makes no sense to me, but it doesn't stop there. We got that airhead of Congress, AOC, also embarrassing herself just the other day, tweeting out saying that the president's disastrous decision to strike Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare us for generations. It is absolutely and clearly grounds for impeachment. Oh my goodness. This whole impeachment thing, it seems like every single time there is a situation that arises, they're like, oh my gosh, impeach this man, impeach Donald Trump. They're just diminishing the value of the word impeachment and what really stands for the grounds for impeachment. It's kind of, blurring the lines. If they keep just throwing it out willy-nilly, when do you actually consider or think it's valid to impeach a president? AOC doesn't know. She's absolutely lost. And then we got Donald Trump with a blazing tweet. Actually, it was a post on Truth Social. Let me correct that. Absolutely nuclear bombshell on AOC, that airhead of Congress, and her buddy, Representative Ratchet Jasmine Crockett. All right, you guys, I was able to zoom this in. Let's hop straight into President Donald Trump's tweet on AOC and that Representative Ratchet. He starts by saying, stupid AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of the dumbest people in Congress, is now calling for my impeachment, despite the fact that crooked and corrupt Democrats have already done that twice before. The reasons for her rantings is all the victories that the USA has had underneath Donald Trump administration. The Democrats aren't used to winning, and she can't stand the concept of our country being successful again. When we examine her test scores, we will find that she is not qualified for office, but nevertheless far more qualified than Crockett, who is a seriously low IQ individual, or Ilhan Omar, who does nothing but complain about our country, yet the failed country that she comes from doesn't even have a government, is also drenched in crime and poverty, and is rated one of the worst in the world, if it's even rated at all. How dare the mouse tell us how to run the United States of America? We're just now coming back from what the radical left experiment with Sleepy Joe, Kamala, and the auto pen in charge. What a disaster it was. AOC should be forced to take a cognitive test that I just completed at Walter Reed Medical Center as a part of my physical. As the doctor in charge said, President Trump aced it, meaning I got every answer right. Instead of her constant complaining, Alexandria should go back to her home in Queens, where I was also brought up, and straighten out her filthy, disgusting, crime-ridden streets in the district she quote-unquote represents, and she never goes to anymore. She better start worrying about her own primary before she thinks about beating our great Palestinian senator, crying Chuck Schumer, whose career is definitely on very thin ice. She and her Democratic friends have just hit one of the lowest poll numbers in congressional history, so go ahead and try impeaching me. Again, make my day. Oh my goodness, boom. Donald Trump laying down the hammer. He didn't hold back whatsoever, and this is the president that we voted for. No, he's going to call the balls and the strikes straight down the center. He doesn't care what team you're playing for. If Donald Trump feels like you're in the wrong, you're in the red, he's going to call you out for it. And we got Vice President J.D. Vance following up President Donald Trump's savage truth post with some words of his own. Check him out.
I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East. I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then, we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do. Simple principle. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That has animated American policy over the past 130 days. It's going to continue to be a driving force of our policy in the Middle East for the next 3.5 years.
J.D. Vance reassuring the American folks that this is not what we've seen of the dumb administration of the past. This is the Donald Trump administration. They're getting things done. It gets worse, though. We've got the Dems. Now they're eating each other. We got John Fetterman calling out AOC for her calls to impeach President Donald Trump.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says the president shouldn't be impeached because he's impulsive. What do you think of that?
No, I mean, of course, no. She knows it. I know it. We all know it. That's not going anywhere. And, you know, he's been impeached twice, and now he's still our president as well now, too. So it's not going anywhere, and I don't think that's helpful. And I think if you throw that term around, that actually diminishes what the severity of what impeachment is really reserved for.
Alexandria Ocasio.
Exactly my point right there. John Fetterman can see straight through it, saying we can't keep calling and crying wolf every time Donald Trump makes a move, because when something actually does happen that validates the claims for impeachment or calls for impeachment, no one's going to believe you because you call for impeachment left and right for the silliest things. And we got President Donald Trump coming out debunking all the claims of these loonies on the left, saying that we're going to be ensnared in war for centuries because of this move. Donald Trump tweeting out saying Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home, while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. No one will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Wow. So just that quick, in 12 days, we've already worked towards a ceasefire resolution for this conflict. Sounds like Donald Trump got the job done. We didn't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. We got rid of their nuclear weapons program. Sounds like we set them back for centuries on that one, and we ended the war all in 12 days. I mean, what more do these loonies on the left want?
And when you left the White House, were you thinking this was all gelling here?
When I left the White House, I thought that we might be able to get it across the finish line before this broadcast, and it looks like the president has been able to do that. I mean, look, he's been working the phones constantly. Frankly, before the 12-day war started, but certainly over the past 12 days, the president's been extremely clear about America's national objective here. It is to create a world where Iran cannot build a nuclear weapon. We, of course, destroyed the nuclear program that they had, and the president told the entire team, we're going to work to make sure that they don't try to rebuild that nuclear capability in the future. And look, this is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
J.D. Vance, some very powerful words there, saying that Trump just hit the reset button, that we should start seeing peace within the Middle East. And then you already know dishonest CNN, they don't want to believe the truth. We got CNN's Caitlin Collins, a smug analyst. Caitlin Collins saying she just does not believe it. There is no ceasefire that exists. And then she's quickly fact-checked by Anderson Cooper. Check this out.
Now, we're hearing incredibly optimistic views coming out of the White House as far as how long this can hold and what this is going to look like. That obviously still remains to be seen on the implementation side of this, and waiting to see if the firing does stop and if Iran and Israel do both agree to this. Because, speaking of the fluidity of the situation, it was just 24 hours ago that President Trump himself was suggesting a regime change in Iran was a possibility. And obviously right before that, having the United States strike Iran. And so, yes, there have been a lot of phone calls going back and forth. In part, this has to do with Iran's limited response earlier, where they fired on a U.S. base in Qatar, but there were no casualties. We know that they did give a heads up that they were going to be firing on U.S. bases without exactly specifying which ones. But that is the question here, is if the United States felt that it did not need to respond to the Iranian retaliation, did that create the space for this? That is what we've been hearing from administration officials. And so the question is whether or not this still holds for the next few hours.
Caitlin, I just been given word that Iran, according to a diplomat who briefed CNN, Iran has agreed to the ceasefire. So this is significant. I just want to try to learn some more information as soon as we get it about that. But if that is the case, that's incredibly significant, because that is, we were waiting. We had not heard from Iran. We had not heard from Israel. All we were going on so far has been the president's social media post, which was some 2 hours ago. So again, that is the first indication we have that Iran has agreed to this.
Now we're here.
So they just don't want to believe it. Caitlin Collins, she's not alone in, her disbelief. We got AOC sort of saying reaction to the ceasefire. She's so upset. You could see it. It was all written all over her face. She was ready for more calls and to amp up this call to impeach Donald Trump behind this conflict. Check her out.
Of course, now it's AOC leading the charge. She's not taking the ceasefire news well.
He also said that it was a war, and I think that the President of the United States admitting that he unilaterally brought the United States into a war without congressional approval is a very grave public admission. It is illegal, it is unconstitutional, and so for me, while the President is posting something about a ceasefire, I think what he also posted was an official acknowledgement that this was war. And I think that is something that should be taken into very serious consideration.
Oh my God, was she struggling there or what? Here to explain, Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law prof and Fox News contributor. I mean, that was a tough moment for old AOC there. The ceasefire, so we got to impeach Trump. Yeah. Jonathan, let's go to the substance of this. The substance of this, because I know you have some history about ceasefire negotiations and a president involved and these kinds of things. But tell us what we should know.
Well, you have to feel for AOC. You're all dressed up for an impeachment, and peace breaks out. It's sort of a Marissa Tomei moment from My Cousin Vinny. What a nightmare. And the problem is that it doesn't make for a very good impeachment, and that's why she was struggling. The other problem is that if this is impeachable, you could impeach a good number of presidents going back to Thomas Jefferson, who moved against the Barbary Pirates. You would also include Bill Clinton and Barack Obama.
Jonathan Turley there with a great point. You wonder why AOC was struggling to get it out there. It's because she was calling for impeachment, and then meanwhile, peace breaks out, the worst thing that could happen for AOC. But where were these calls for impeachment when Obama? I mean, come on now, this guy right here dropped over 26,000 strikes in 7 different countries without a single vote, a single war vote from Congress. I mean, where was that? Where were the calls then? They pick and choose. It's the Trump derangement syndrome. These folks are hyper fixated on everything that Donald Trump does. We can't forget this clip right here of Nancy Pelosi admitting to herself, folks.
So, Madam Speaker, Madam Leader, you're saying that the president did not need authorization initially and still does not need any authorization from Congress on Libya?
Yes.
Thank you both.
Thank you all very much.
So, Madam Speaker,
Simple. Plain and simple. Did not need authorization from Congress? Yes, you're right. There was no authorization needed. So why are they coming after Donald Trump so heavily? I mean, I really would like to know. It's got to be that Trump derangement syndrome. They just can't get over this guy, Donald Trump, and his successes. And then we got White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt dropping a bombshell, letting them know that there were calls made. Donald Trump did not do this without approval. These folks just didn't pick up the phone.
We did make bipartisan calls. Thomas Massey and the Democrats, he should be a Democrat because he's more aligned with them than with the Republican Party. We're given notice. The White House made calls to congressional leadership. They were bipartisan calls. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries couldn't be reached. We tried him before the strike and he didn't pick up the phone, but he was briefed after, as well as Chuck Schumer was briefed prior to the strike. So this notion that CNN ran with at the White House did not give a heads up to Democrats is just completely false. In fact, both Senator Schumer's office and CNN had to retract that story last night because it was a blatant lie, and we showed them the timestamps from those phone calls. But I want to add something to Thomas Massey's false points. The White House was not obligated to call anyone because the president was acting within his legal authority under Article 2 of the Constitution as Commander-in-Chief of the President of the United States. We gave these calls as a courtesy, and the Democrats are lying about this because they can't talk about the truth of the success of that operation and the success of our United States military and the success of this president and this administration in doing something that past administrations, Democrats too, have only dreamed about.
So the same way that old Governor Gavin Newsom lied about the phone calls Donald Trump never reached out to him before deploying the National Guard, we're seeing it once again. They're saying that Donald Trump had no congressional approval. He did not reach out to his colleague constituents. He reached out. No one answered their phone. Chuck Schumer, he got a phone call. Hakeem Jeffries got a phone call as well. It sounds like old Hakeem just didn't pick up the phone, and now the Dems want to lie. Oh my goodness. Then we got that superstar CNN host, Scott Jennings, breaking it down for these left-wing loonies around that CNN panel. Check him out.
Well, they did call Schumer, and I know they talked to him, and they tried to call Jeffries, who apparently didn't pick up the phone. So I know some calls were made. Look, one of the ways to keep things from leaking is to not tell a bunch of people who leak. And so, I'm sensitive to this. This is a pretty sensitive operation. There was a lot of misdirection. There was a lot of stuff going on here.
It's a close hold.
I know, and they called Schumer, and they tried to call Jeffries, and they told the Republicans. And look, we're not going to debate this in an open committee hearing when we're, on a tight time window. You got bombers going one way, bombers going another way. I mean, this thing had to be held airtight. And that's what they did, and it worked perfectly. Except that they did call.
Absolutely. Had to be held airtight. We have to remember the sensitive nature of this one right here, this strike that was carried out. I mean, if this was to denuclearize Iran, to wipe out their capabilities of dropping nukes, wiping out cities within the United States, this had to be done in secrecy, because if this leaked out, it could have costed us a city or two. You never know. That's why President Donald Trump did the right thing. We got Charlie Kirk tweeting out here saying, "We told you to trust President Donald Trump. He get it done. This guy is the man. President Trump is operating on a totally different level. We've never seen this before. Donald Trump doesn't, he took note on the last time he was in office and all those snakes that were backstabbing him. He's not allowing room for error nowadays. President Trump saying, I'm going to put this one on my back. I'm going to get it done. We're going to carry out this strike and get the job done for the people. We got Benny Johnson here with a tweet, kind of just encapsulating the success of Donald Trump in these last 12 days, saying that we have to just stop for just a minute and appreciate the commander-in-chief, the masterclass that we just witnessed from President Donald Trump. The American military might be reestablished. Iran's nuclear capacity was destroyed, wiped out. There was no U.S. boots on the ground. We can't forget about that either. The tactical nature of this strike. The global force projection was achieved. There was no bloody regime change, no idiotic nation building. American diplomacy is respected now. We're working back to being, okay, this is a true leader within the United States. We're respected on that world stage once again. There were ceasefire negotiations within days, which these loonies on the left said was impossible. This would go on for decades. We got regional partners also thrilled. China and Russia on red notice as well. And markets are ready to roar. Gas prices are collapsing. Lots of mean tweets. We see that from President Donald Trump. I mean, he's just telling the truth, though. We're not worried. A mean tweet is usually just the truth. Let's be real with ourselves. There was no leaks because Donald Trump did not warn these loonies on the left who love to leak out very sensitive classified information. No media psyops. Equals everything was irrelevant. All the claims from the left were irrelevant. We got peace through strength. The globe is watching it all right now. American global dominance is back and better than ever. Thank you, President Donald Trump. Yo, there we have it, guys. Oh my goodness, we're seeing Donald Trump absolutely destroying and obliterating that earhead of Congress, AOC, that Representative Ratchet Jasmine Crockett. Oh, we can't forget Ilhan Omar. Honorable mention, we can't forget Donald Trump also roasts her as well in that True Social post, and rightfully so. I don't know where this sense of entitlement comes from. These loonies on the left, they feel like they need to be a part of the Trump administration and their efforts every step of the way. Some things need to be kept under wraps, closed door meetings, because we've seen what happened when we notify these folks on the left. They get the information and then they just spill the beans immediately. They run to these mainstream media, lamestream media outlets and try to report on what Donald Trump said was classified information, documents, and that would have been a major security risk, a national security risk. In this situation, we look at Iran's working towards the capability of nuclear weapons. We had to make sure we act behind closed doors in secrecy because letting the word get out there could have been grave danger for the United States. So glad that it turned out the way it did with a 12-day conflict that turned very peaceful very quickly. Now we're seeing a ceasefire on the table. No boots on the ground for U.S. troops. Not one single of our military service women or men were harmed in this conflict, which brings great joy to my heart, to see that Donald Trump was able to be a true leader, get things done without losing any of our men or women. This is what we voted for, guys. Definitely hop in that comment section. Comments are open. I'm excited to hear what you guys are thinking on this one. Also, make sure you guys please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you'd enjoy more content like this. Catch you guys on the next one. We
for you as it was for me. Good evening, everyone. What it is. I'm Tyrus, in for Greg on this special edition of Gutfeld. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He's so white, his a cappella name is Cocaine. Fox News contributor Tom Shalhoub. Some people say she talks a lot. Outnumbered co-host Emily Campagnano. He's a great guy who got his life together after some tough times. Actor, writer, and comedian Jamie Lizzow. It's so hot outside, she has her space heater on medium. New York Times best-selling author and Fox News contributor Kat Dennings. Now, if we could be serious for a moment, let's do some jokes. We're off to a good start, Kat. Or maybe we should just stop here. I don't know. All right, let's roll with it. Let's do it. All right, the White House says they called Hakeem Jeffries to give him a heads up about the airstrikes, but he didn't pick up the phone. In his defense, nobody ever called him on a Saturday night. Let's keep rolling. All right. After Russia suggested they may supply Iran with nuclear weapons, Trump asked if they were casually throwing around the N-word, nuclear. Nope. Personally, all I can say is, Mr. President, you my nuclear. Pete Hegseth said the airstrikes gave Iran's nuclear program a final blow. It worked so well, they're calling it Operation Stormy Daniels. All right. Georgia Democrat Hank Johnson posted an awful, out-of-tune version of Jimi Hendrix's song, Hey Joe. Would tell him not to quit his day job, but he sucks at that too. According to a new study, about half the women say they want children aren't confident they'll actually ever have them. Fortunately, help is on the way. Okay, that's not the joke that I had in rehearsal. According to a new survey, 24% of Americans want to take a break from sexual activity. In medical terms, it's what's known as pulling a Hillary. Researchers now say recycled plastic can be even more toxic than new plastic. And here's the proof. Look, you can't say it's that old thing because it's a new picture. Changed it up. Still terrible. A former Biden staffer said Kamala Harris would not have had the courage to blow up Iran's nuclear facilities, but she would be interested in Jaeger bombs. And finally, McDonald's and Krispy Kreme are ending their partnership. Over our dead bodies, said these men. And of course, I meant men as in mankind. All right, let's do some stories. After a ceasefire was announced, Israel and Iran accused each other of violating the terms and fired again at each other. But Trump has had it. Watch.
As soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because the one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.
Man, isn't it nice that we have a president who just tells you, we never have to go like, what is he thinking? I mean, I heard he made a statement, but it was confusing. He was all over the place. I don't know if he's upset at anyone or... No, you know exactly what he's saying. That's a grown-ass man right there. And anyone who's had to deal with brothers and sisters fighting and arguing, any parent can relate to that kind of frustration. Of course, this is on the world scene. Shalou, have you ever seen the president this pissed off?
No, and I mean, everyone's freaking out on, oh, I can't believe the president is so undignified. It's like, what is, everybody swears all the time. On this show, even.
Yeah.
And
right.
And you turn on TV, everything on Netflix, everyone is swearing all the time. Why can't the president swear? I mean, and he doesn't even swear that much. They act like Trump has a filthy mouth. Every once in a while, he lets one fly, but it's always at an appropriate time. And Democrats can't get enough of swearing these days. So I don't know what the big fuss about it is. I think it is funny that Trump, he just unleashed an unbelievable series of bombs. And then, like, the next day, he's like, Joe Biden,